Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. My name's Caleb, I'm the Furniture Cowboy. My wife and I have created a business here in Austin, Texas, flipping furniture, and today we're going to be taking a look at this mid-century piece here. The entire thing has been painted a dark green color, and I just feel like it looks like it was dipped in the Goo Lagoon. So today we're going to be bringing it out of the swamp and into the spotlight. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So as always, the first thing we have to do with each piece is inspect it for damage. This piece was actually in really good condition. We could tell that someone had done their best to flip it in the past. However, there were tons of drip marks, so we will be taking care of those. Anyway, since there's not much damage, we're going to move right on to the next step, which is removing all the hardware. So now that we got all that beautiful hardware off, we're going to go ahead and spray everything down with our go-to simple green, diluted with a little bit of distilled water, and we're going to separate out certain drawers because we have a really cool idea that we think will work really well for this piece. So the vision that we came up with for this piece is to paint pretty much the entire body of the piece white, and then those drawers that we took out we're going to stain dark brown. But we can tell that there are probably several layers of paint just based on the feel and the look of the piece, so we're going to go ahead and strip those drawers down to bare wood. So here we are going straight in with our stripper. Today we're using citrus strip in the gel form, not the paste. We like this one a lot, and we are going to go ahead and wrap each drawer once it's thickly covered in saran wrap. The saran wrap really makes a huge difference in allowing that stripper to penetrate pretty much all the way down to the bare wood. So as you guys are about to see, we had way more success with this than we have in the past. I was super happy with how it turned out, and this part is super satisfying, so I'll just let you guys watch it. So it's definitely not perfect by any means, but the work that the stripper did on the drawer fronts is going to make things way easier for us down the road. And now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and wipe everything with mineral spirits. We're going to move on to the body of the dresser. I think we spotted some damaged places that we had missed that we're actually just going to go ahead and patch up and just make sure everything is structurally sound and looking the way it's supposed to look. While we've got the super glue out, we're going to go ahead and fix one part of the drawer here that you can see. It has a bit of chipped veneer, so we're just going to super glue that down and then immediately go in with some stainable wood filler. Let that dry and then we'll sand it later. Here I am just going in with some coarse sandpaper to get rid of any green gunk, and then we're going to go in with the orbital and make everything look pretty. The only thing you have to be careful of here is to not blast through the veneer, because it's super easy to do and it's a nightmare when it happens. So now that we've got those drawers looking just about the way we want them to, I'm going to go ahead and whip out a brand new toy that I got. This is a handheld saw. I think it's called the Works saw. So it's WORX. It's a simple name, but I've got to say it's definitely accurate. This thing definitely works with a capital X. and today I'm just using it to make sure everything is level with the base of this piece, because we know we're going to want to put on some legs in the future. And probably a good idea to make sure ahead of time that you've taken out any screws so that you don't ruin your saw. So like I said, this one had been refinished by someone in the past. They just skipped a couple steps like wood filling and stuff like that. So we're going to go back in here and wood fill, do it right this time, and get the body prepped for painting. We're going to quickly go ahead back to the strip drawers and use a fine sanding block and just give it a good once over just to make sure everything's nice and soft and smooth. We're also going to do our best with a scraper to go into those lines in the center of each drawer. These were a bit of a pain in the butt, but we did the best we could. And sometimes that's all you can do. Once the drawers are looking nice, we go ahead and use a bit of pre-stain. This is not always necessary, but we like to use it. Actually, we've used it on just about everything. It just makes sure that the wood kind of absorbs the stain evenly throughout the surface, so there's not any blotchiness or anything like that. By the time that's done, our filler has fully dried on the body. We're going to go ahead and give everything a good scuff sand and sand the filler down so it's a nice smooth surface. Looking at the footage, it looks like we were flipping this thing like every which way, but I guess we just wanted to make sure that we got everything scuff sanded and that we didn't miss any damage. And just like that, we're ready to prime. Whenever we prime, I always have my fingers crossed that we didn't miss any spots that we should have wood filled, because the primer makes it super obvious if you missed anything. It's really good at like just highlighting those areas. Thankfully, on this one, I feel like we got everything and it turned out great. And while we wait for that primer to dry and settle, we're going to head back to the pre-stained drawer fronts. We're going to go in and stain them. For this piece, we're using Dark Walnut by Varathane. I just want to say that I'm having to redo this audio part because my dog was licking his butt so much that it just ruined my audio file, and I just want everyone to know that he's a stinky butt licker. Anyway, let's try this again. So now that the primer is dry, I'm going to go in with Cottage White by Behr. Honestly, this part was a huge pain in the ass for me. There were all these like weird shadows. We were doing this at a weird time of the day. So there were all these shadows on the white primer, and I was painting it with like a slightly different white. So it was just super hard for me to see what I had proper coverage on and what needed to be painted again, basically. But after a good deal of squinting and putting my face 2 inches from the furniture, I think the body came out great. So moving right along, we're going to be doing a coat of pure gold on the hardware for this piece. Honestly, the hardware looked great and it was a nice gold color, but we do want to be able to match the hardware to the legs. So we're going to be spraying the hardware and the legs with pure gold by Rustoleum. There was one spot that I somehow missed when scuff sanding on the left side, the left bottom side of the dresser. It had these raised areas where it looked like the previous owner had used something. When I sanded it down, it was this gray color. So if anybody knows, leave that down below in the comments if you know what it is. It wasn't anything I had seen before. I thought maybe it was Bondo, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we got that nice and sanded smooth and we're able to proceed. So I do want to talk about this part for a second. As you can see, there's some little pieces of fluff on the drawers, and this is because when you stain it, it becomes kind of a sticky surface. What we used to wipe it off was a kind of low quality rag, and it just kind of came apart as we were rubbing. Also, the stain here was a little too dark and penetrated a little deeper than we wanted and kind of covered up the wood grain that we were hoping to preserve and highlight. But you know, a little fluff is not going to stop the furniture cowboy. So we're going to go right in with some fine sanding block and kill two birds with one stone and clean it right up. Now that everything's looking good, we're going to go ahead and do some quick touch-ups with paint on the body and the drawers. So our beautiful legs that we had been waiting for finally came in the mail. I'm just going to go ahead and tape off the little rubber bumpers with some painter's tape and then go right ahead and give them a nice coat of pure gold by Rustoleum. As always, we go ahead and seal everything with 2 coats of satin polyurethane. The last thing we have to do is attach the legs and assemble everything, so we go ahead and flip it on its back. As soon as we got it on its back, we noticed that there's a ton of green underneath. I mean, it's not a huge deal because you can only see it like from this angle, and if it's in somebody's house, they would never really see it from that angle. But in case they ever did do that, it just wouldn't look like we did a great job. So we're gonna go ahead and paint everything underneath with the Cottage White just to make everything nice and professional. Once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and attach our legs. So I'm going to drill some pilot holes. For this part, I actually recommend drilling the pilot holes with the thing held up there. Like, I wish I had held up the thing and then drilled the pilot holes rather than marked where they should go, because things can just get a little shifted or messed up, and then when you put the leg back up there, it might not be perfect. So I would just go ahead and drill the pilot holes while the hardware is up there. It's not a huge deal, it's just something that I wanted to point out because I do it differently now. Now that we've got those legs attached, we're going to go ahead and use a foam brush to cover up some spots that we had missed and reattach all the hardware. Lastly, we're going to remove these ugly ass drawer liners that were in some of the drawers and make sure everything is in tip-top ship shape before we put everything back together. I absolutely am so in love with the way this piece turned out. I love the black on white look, and this was I think it was our second most liked post on Instagram for 2021. So you guys liked it too. My favorite description for this piece comes from my wife's mom, my mother-in-law, who said it looks like an antique car, which I think is spot on, and I absolutely love it. I wish we could find more hardware like this one had. I don't know why they don't make hardware like this anymore, but I absolutely love it. It's like this little Art Deco touch. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this video with me. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Consider subscribing and click that like button. It truly goes a long way to helping me create content like this for you, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.